What is going on, Pocket people? We have something a little bit different today. I'll be spending $100 on Pokegold, opening all of the packs that allows me to open, and then building decks with what I get. This is an attempt to see how not free-to-play friendly, but how generally spend-friendly Pokemon Pocket is. All right, y'all, I've seen a lot of videos about I spent $100 on Pokemon Pocket, and here's what I got. I was already planning to whale looking for some full art trainers and some cool legendary birds. So what I'm going to do is spend $100 on Pokemon Pocket packs and build decks with what I get from them in an attempt to evaluate how much you get in terms of competitive decks by spending that amount of money. Let's get started with the whaling. Now, what we're going to be doing is spending on Genetic Apex Mewtwo packs. I believe those to be the best packs generally in terms of getting what you're trying to do. We could also opt for Genetic Apex Pikachu packs with the attempt at getting specifically the Pikachu EX deck. But inside Mewtwo, there are multiple cards that we can start building towards. Cards like Gengar, Mewtwo itself, and Venusaur, as well as Dragonite. So I think we're supposed to start with Mewtwo packs and then see what we do from there. Note that currently we have 825 pack points. We will not be using any of those other than the ones we get from opening these packs. The $100 that I spent was spent in the shop here. In the purchase Pokegold, I ended up going and grabbing this right here. This gives me 500 Pokegold plus an additional 190. So we have about 700 Pokegold. That means at 660, we'll be able to open 10 packs 11 times. And that's what I'm going to be using as my pool for this. So we're going to start with a 10 pull of Mewtwo EX. You turn chat off? No, I value all of you so much. Zebstrika, Psyduck, Pidgey, Petalil, Lickitung, Dragonair, Geodo. Okay, so I'm immediately seeing some Pidgey things happening here. Bulbasaur, Pidgeot. Okay, we've got a Pidgey line already. A couple Bulbasaurs, a Gengar. We have a Gengar EX potentially to start building around. That's a solid one. We are looking at nothing special just yet. A Porygon, which I don't think is very useful. Maybe when Porygon 2 comes out. Kingler could be relevant. Mewtwo Baby. All right. So from that 10 pack, what sticks out to me is we have basically a full Pidgeot line. We've got Bulbasaur and Gengar, but we don't have any of the stuff that evolves into Bulbasaur and Gengar. I will allow myself to use pack points to complete this deck, but only pack points that are earned from this whaling. So we'll see. So that's 10 pull number 1. We have 10 more 10 pulls before we are out of our ability to do those. And then it's deck building time. Another Mewtwo EX pack here. $100 gives 11 10 pulls. It's actually a little more than that, but we're rounding down just for the purposes of the exercise. Double Marowak is interesting, actually. Arbok, interesting here. The second baby Mewtwo. A Mewtwo EX Immersive, which is a sick pull, by the way. This is my favorite of the immersives by like a pretty decent margin, I would say. I very much enjoy this one as opposed to the other two. It's just definitely the best one. But what I've noticed we don't have is any Gardevoir type stuff. Now, if we get the second Mewtwo EX, I do mean other three. Mew Immersive is pretty cool. We don't have any Gardevoir stuff. Oh, okay. Okay. Articuno EX might be the biggest and best reason to open Mewtwo packs right off the bat, because 18 Trainer Articuno is absolutely playable. And if you get 2 Articuno EXs, you literally just have that deck. Whoa! That's awesome. We got a Ghastly, which matters if we end up playing Gengar EX. We got a Haunter, so now we have the Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar line. That's good. We do have to keep track of that as we do this. That's our second 10 pull. Streamer luck is real? Not really. All right, 10 pull number 3. Still going to do Mewtwo, especially because I have access to potential Mewtwo EX, potential Articuno EX. Is this for a YouTube video? Yes. Koga's a good rip. Koga's a really good rip, actually. Second Koga matters. Kirlia matters. Haunter matters. Old Amber might matter. Golbat, I think, mostly doesn't matter. This is like a very metagamey consideration, a dark attacker that you can splash in. Second Pidgeot, not irrelevant, actually. Very cool looking. Aerodactyl goes with our Old Amber. Okay. Okay. That is definitely the worst of our 10 pulls that we've done. 10 pull number 4. No glows on the packs. Golduck kind of relevant. Vaporeon likely not relevant. Arbok, Grimer. We're actually very close to... If we start opening Weezingable packs, I believe we're fairly close to that. We still, as far as I'm aware, have not gotten a Gardevoir. We've gotten 2 Kirlias, and the Gardevoir could be craftable, but I think it would be more helpful if we were able to open it here. The second Mewtwo EX matters a ton. This now gives us a very clear direction to build into. 2 Ralts, 2 Kirlia, 2 Mewtwo EX, we're there. Right? Like, we are there. 2 Ralts, 2 Kirlia, 2 Mewtwo EX, we're there. We're there. That's actually just straight up. We're going to double check and make sure Sabrina is this pack, because I don't actually know. This is Koga Giovanni. We might have to swap over to open Sabrina's later, or we keep opening this looking for Gardevoirs and go from there. We're going to do our 5th 10 pull into Mewtwo. Gardevoir, Articuno EX, kind of the things we're looking for here. Weezing might be worth going into another pack for. Gengar EX number 2. Also interesting. So now we have access to Gengar EX and Mewtwo EX. And 1 Venusaur. Weezing's in here. Okay, then we're gonna probably keep opening this. With 2 Kogas, the amount of decks we can make here is actually pretty heavy. I don't think we have super complex decisions to make just yet. I'm willing to just craft Sabrina is the thing. Like, we're going to allow ourselves to have the ability to use those, right? So we're going to go for our 6th 10 pull into Mewtwo here. I'm surprised you have an open guard. I am too. But it happens. Okay, that's our 2nd Venusaur EX. Which... I don't know if I'm supposed to spot us a free... Okay, Giovanni's good. I don't know if I'm supposed to... 3rd Mewtwo EX. Alright. Am I supposed to spot us a free Exeggutor, maybe? There's a Weezing. Yeah, we could do Venu EX Lilligant. We do not have Erica's yet, but it might be time to move over to the left. Jinx can even be our splash here. Ivysaur matters for our Venusaur, for sure. 2nd Ivysaur. All right, cool. So we have access to the whole Venusaur evolution line here. So we have the whole Venusaur evolution line, the whole Gengar evolution line. We have Venu EX Lilligant. We have a lot of things that can happen here. So we have 5 10 pulls left. That was our 6th, right? That was our 6th 10 pull. So with 5 10 pulls left, we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Or was that our 7th? Oh my god. We've already seen this animation. Okay. Okay. The game loves me right now. The worst part is, all I want is, like, in real life, all I want is Giovanni foils. Not getting any of those. Getting a million immersive Mewtwo's, of which I already have several. But for the purposes of this video, it's actually pretty sick. It's actually pretty sick. Okay. 4 more. Surely we get a Gardevoir, right? Right? I think even if we don't, we'll probably have enough pack points to open one. But a Weezing would also... A second Weezing would also be... There it is. Okay. Okay. So we are live for a bunch of different decks here. We are live for a bunch of different decks here. There's our guard. So with our $100, we are immensely live for a ton of decks. Sabrina Egg Starmie. I might be. I think it's when I get the next guard. I think it's just as soon as I open a guard. 3 more opens, by the way. Three more opens here. Ditto. Ew. Second full art Pidgeot. Oh my god! Streamer luck. Streamer luck. Streamer luck. Okay. So we got 2 10 pulls left. What we are going to do, Jesus. Yeah, I think we're going to aim for Sabrina and Craft Guard. That is where my head is at. We're going to check real quick. So we have about 450 pack points here, which is more than enough to craft second Gardevoir, and frankly, most of the stuff we're missing from the Mewtwo packs here. So we're going to go over to the Charizard packs and see what we can get out of those with our last 2 10 pulls. This is my mana count? Yes. Mm-hmm. This is all the same crap we were getting. Vulpix's worth keeping an eye on. It's possible we could backdoor into a Blaine. Not likely, but possible. Sure. Erica is a good rip if we're doing the Venusaur thing. Okay, so we have 1 10 pull left here. Indeed. I agree the Lilligant variant is a lot worse. Last 10 pull. Let's hope that shiny thing is something cool. Second Erica. That matters. That's really important, actually. Saves us 70 for sure. Sure. Sick Charmander. Kabutops. Kabutops. More like Kabuti. That's what the shiny was? Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so weirdly, no Sabrina's here, but luckily that is an efficient way to actually spend our stuff. Those two are pretty bad to finish it off, but we had Erica. So for deck building, I think the first thing we need to do is establish how many pack points we had. We have about 550. With those 550 pack points, it's actually very simple. We spend 140 on Sabrina's. And we spend... It's going to be 150 on Gardevoir. And so we'll spend 290 of those pack points, Gardevoir to Sabrina's. Now, what that gives us, effectively, is access to several relevant decks, and we're going to cut to that part now. The best deck we are able to put together is, of course, Mewtwo EX. Mewtwo EX is arguably the best deck in the game, and at worst, top 2, with the other slot being taken up by Pikachu EX, with Charizard Arcanine making a hard charge upwards, and Starmie Kuno being worth mentioning as well. However, I think the gap between Mewtwo EX, Pikachu EX, and the other 2 decks is notable and has been for a very long time. Mewtwo EX has a very baseline strong game plan, one of the strongest EX Pokemon in the game in Mewtwo, and an energy battery in the form of Gardevoir. That baseline allows it to, with only minimal adaptation, have good matchups into a lot of different stuff. You see, the base Mewtwo in there is there to mostly be a tank and soak up in matchups like Pikachu EX and Starmie EX, where as soon as you get a Mewtwo and a Gardevoir online, you're just sending 150 at everything they play and they can't actually live through it. The big weakness that this deck has is a fully charged up Charizard EX, which is able to one-hit Mewtwo and cannot be one-hit by Mewtwo in return. However, Mewtwo is able to come online earlier thanks to being a basic EX Pokemon, while Charizard EX has to evolve, and use Moltres to get extra energy onto the Charizard EX if it wants to keep using its 200 damage attack. Meanwhile, in Mewtwo EX, Gardevoir works from the bench, allowing us to continually get 2 energy per turn and repeat Mewtwo's 150 damage until the game is won. The next deck up on the docket is, of course, the Koga deck, aka the Team Rocket deck with Weezing and Arbok. Weezing and Koga present a massive wall to our opponents that is very difficult to get through. Weezing is one of the best basic Pokemon in the game, with the ability to poison whatever Pokemon it's facing off with in the active spot, and a 1 energy, 30 damage attack in Tackle that is super effective against psychic Pokemon, such as Mewtwo EX and all of the cards in Mewtwo EX. This makes Weezing, with his 110 HP, an excellent tank, which Koga supplements by being able to move the card back to your hand, resetting all the damage on it, and allowing you to replay Coughing then Weezing and repeat the same stalling pattern. What this deck lacks generally is damage. If I were looking for upgrades here, I would look for a Jigglypuff and maybe a Wigglytuff EX in order to add a little bit of beef. Other people also play Muck and Grimer. That's not necessarily what I would do. I prefer running no Muck, no Grimer if I'm not able to access Jiggly Wiggly. And I do think that this deck on its own can really stand up. Arbok is your heavy hitter, and as much as you have one, really what Arbok is doing is using Corner to trap Pokemon in there, and it does decent damage. Like 60 isn't bad. But ultimately, the issue this deck has long-term is that it is finicky and hard to play and doesn't have as many free win buttons as other decks that you'll run into, but it is very rewarding to learn. Last up is Venusaur EX Petilil Lilligant, and I consider this probably the worst of the major Venusaur EX variants, but we are operating on a little bit of a budget here. We're not necessarily going to have the best version of every deck. If we were playing the best version of this deck, I suspect it involves Exeggutor EX. The Exeggutor EX build is, in my opinion, superior. And of course, if you picked the correct pack in the first moment of the game, you will have at least one Exeggutor EX. You end up with usually an Exeggutor EX or a Marowak EX. Those are the recommended picks from the opening introductory pack, which is staged, so you're going to have one of those probably, unless you ended up picking out of the wrong pack, which I believe is Charizard. Now, the way this deck works is to build up Venusaur as the biggest, baddest boss monster that has ever lived. As a boss monster, Venusaur is very, very difficult to actually beat, with a massive amount of healing, but it does take a lot of energy to make work. In theory, this should make Lilligant and Petilil very good inclusions, because they allow you to put extra energy on your Venusaur as you're evolving it into Venusaur EX. And that is true in theory. In practice, they end up being just a little bit too weak and demanding just a little bit too much from you in terms of the energy commitment to them, and that ends up being a little bit awkward. When you compare with Exeggutor EX, which needs only 1 energy and has 160 HP, this, as a Lilligant, is going to have 100 HP, need 2 energy before it starts paying you back, and it's going to need to get multiple attacks in before you actually end up energy positive on that, because you had to invest 2 energy into that Lilligant. It's also much easier to kill and has a lot less forward pressure, meaning it's not going to win games on its own. For that reason, I typically prefer the Exeggutor EX build. I know some prefer the Butterfree build, where you just go all in on healing, which has a stronger late game, but does come with the downside of it takes a long time to actually get set up. All right, that was my $100. I spent $100 in Pokemon Pocket. That is what I ended up with. What do you think? Was I a little lucky? I feel like I was probably a little bit lucky. If you did something similar, what did you end up with? And did you enjoy this video? Let me know in the comments. I'll see if I can make more of them. I love spending money for absolutely no reason. Basically my favorite thing.